Hello, salam, shalom, namaste, sat sri akal, aloha, hola, ciao, bonjour, buna, and privyet. It's really, really good to be with you again. And I hope you will be very uh, glad that you have joined us today because we have a very special guest joining us today, and we'll be talking about a topic that I'll be honest, we haven't dealt with before on this podcast. So this is a little bit of an experiment for us, but I really hope it's something that's going to be beneficial. And so that's why we're doing this. So what am I talking about? Let me tell you who our guest is, first of all. So our guest is Ponsi. Ponsi is the founder of FOREVERWELL Center. Um, and I will let her tell you more about herself in just a little bit. Um, I will just say like right now that, um, you know, our primary topic for today is not about what Bonsi does for her work normally, which is holistic health, holistic healing. We are going to be covering a different topic. We're going to be talking about our loved ones who have passed away and what we have experienced in that context and preparing for the passing away of a loved one or maybe even your own self eventually, because both Ponsi and I have recently lost people in our lives close to us, and we have been finding it helpful to talk to each other about our experiences, and we hope, as I said, that it will be helpful for you also. So that was my little heads up for you on what's coming up in this episode. And now I will let Ponsi come up and speak for herself. So welcome, Ponsi. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. This is it's been so excited. I was counting down to meet with you this evening on the topics that I'm not an expert, but I know it's one of those we all have to face it. So I would like to share my recent experience with you and your audience, and I love your opening. I mean, there's just warm and welcome and transparent. Um, your show is gonna be different today. My background is in wellness, and I gave my own title as wellness engineer. My background is really, really all science in human factors engineering, but somehow the calling is different. But I kind of merged the two worlds by being creative and blend creativity from my left brain with my right brain. And in the past decades, I discovered that my calling is actually in helping other people heal in their wellness world. Um, Also preserving my background, which is from Thailand. I have lived here in the United States since 1980. So I'm kind of like born in Thailand and made in America category. I just faced my long lost friend, um, my husband, exactly 8 months to the day today. He's been gone. The world is now, my world is different without him in it. This is a new canvas for me to basically, I can paint anything I want. But going back to the past 8 months, I just want to to emphasize that we all have deadlines,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and to be prepared for that, it's really, 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 really important. My husband and I, we were not prepared
Yeah.
at, okay.
Yeah.
No, no will. We have no idea each other passwords. No matter, I mean, even if you write it down, I'm sure you're going to face a lot more
Yeah.
challenges. But um, all I can tell you is there are so many coaches and helpers out there as far as not just supports, but laying down the foundation. Like did you know there's a EOL coach?
Tell me more. What is EOL? Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode. Hope you're getting value out of it. For your information, this episode has been sponsored by the Happiness 101 program. Are you a change maker, coach, trainer, or healer? Are chains of fear holding you back from making the impact and income you desire? Using a unique combination of positive psychology and the spiritual wisdom of our most effective change makers, the Happiness 101 program helps you break through your limiting beliefs and manifest the abundance and success you desire with fun and ease. Interested? Book a free Happiness 101 exploration call with me, your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Just use my online calendar link in the show notes. Now, back to the show.
End of life coach.
Mm-hmm.
Coach so big, I didn't even know there's such thing as end of life coaching.
Whoa, me neither.
See, so I can share with you, you know, and give you referral. I met this lady probably 5 years ago through, you know, the programs that I was involved in. And I was like, what is this lady all about? You know, I'm like, nobody wants to talk about end of life. You know, well, why do I want to be coached? But let's me get this really, really, really now that I'm facing my own, you know, loss.
Mm-hmm.
She so much help if I were to talk to her first. But while I was in that Brian Eliason class, it's basically entrepreneurial stuff. You know, I'm all about business. All my life, I focus on business first, family second. You know, so that program, we had like a hot seat, and she came up that she wanted to develop this program for end of life. And
Yeah.
I was like, I was really turned off. I was scared of like, what the heck? But toward the end of our class, our teacher, our coach, actually hired her. Do you know what? His own dad was going through prostate cancer, final like 3 and 4
Yeah.
stages. So he shared all that information with the students. And
Yeah.
I resonate with, you respect the person who's not well. So
Mm.
they actually tested the best uh, oncologists, doctors. So in the past 2 years, I follow uh, his dad's path. But
Mm.
at the very end, his choice was he wants to go on his own term. And I'm like, whoa, we can't, I don't want to attend this kind of meeting. And I got brave because of this end of life coach was actually probably guiding him
Yeah.
and his dad. How do you want to prepare your final moment? So they actually, I don't think they moved, but they chose this one state, Oregon, I think, that is legal.
Uh-huh.
And I had an honor to be there as a student to witness his end of life.
Mm.
It it was traumatic. It was unique. It was like I didn't know what my religion background was at that time, except I know I was born Buddhist, but I'm like, is this the same as taking your own life? You're gonna go straight down, but if he knows as a free spirit dad that's always like outdoor hiking, Harley Davidson guy, and he suffered all those years because the loved one want him to live, right? So you go through, I don't know, all the treatment, chemo, modern, traditional, holistic, and at the end he knows he gonna go one day, but he didn't want to suffer. So this end of life coach who was his students become the coach and coach them. And it was such an experience that I walked away from that class. Or it wasn't even a class. He was just like extra invitation. If you want to join my family,
Yeah.
it was a party. All the family, the brothers, the sisters, aunts, uncle, they celebrated.
Mm.
Dad was basically in the bedroom coherent and he knows exactly what's going on, you know, and all it was a cup with the pill.
Mm.
And and, and I don't know. I mean, if I were him, would I have chosen that path? I don't know. But
Mm.
as him, you have to respect his choice, how he want his EOL to be,
Yeah. Yeah.
without having to suffer, without having to go through financial burden. But that's why I'm not focused on how you want to go. But my point is there are helps out there,
Mm.
not just counseling after someone is gone, but prior, before,
Yeah.
so you can make the decision, not just in financial with the will and estates and
Right.
living with, but the process of before, during, and after, and I'm sure grieving and
Mm.
all of that is coaching.
Yes. Yes, that's a great point, Ponsi, that there's so much that goes into being as prepared as you can be for your own passing or someone else's passing. I mean, like you said earlier, in some ways, you can never be prepared. There will always be, a certain amount of discovery, things that you will find yourself feeling or experiencing, or just things that come up that you didn't anticipate, even if you have done all your preparations. But insofar as we can prepare, a lot of times I've noticed that people will talk about just the logistical things, like, do you have a bill? Do I know my father really got into sort of this, and he discovered that here in America, oftentimes having a will is not enough. You have to, like, depending on your financial condition, you may need to create different kinds of legal entities like trusts and so forth to, like, really truly protect your assets and to be able to pass them on to your loved ones after you without their getting taxed and having to go through all kinds of troubles. But that's just one aspect of the kind of preparation you might need. But what about getting prepared at a mental level, at a emotional level, at a physical level? Um, what are some things that you have been discovering or practicing that have been helping you, um, or as you look, if you think about in terms of hindsight, what would you advise somebody to do to prepare, let's say, at a mental and emotional level?
Okay. It's kind of overlaps
Yeah.
because the severity of the to how to cope thereafter a lost one. It
Mm.
also depends on how well prepared for your final departure. You know,
Mm.
because us, we didn't get to say goodbye. We didn't. We actually had a mini fight just before that night. You know what I mean? So it's really deep as far as the guilt, the blame, the shame, shoulda, woulda, you know. So that means for me to help myself out of that regret, I have to do more work in the mental part
Yeah.
compared to someone who's been on, you know, who's been ill for a while.
Yeah.
Um, that you have a chance to say whatever it is still on your mind. So, love each other, hate each other, forgiveness. Where did you hide the treasures, and all of that. Then when when that final day came and you part each other, yes, you can cope better. So with my situation, what had helped me the most was the breathing.
Yeah.
It's meditation. It's really, there's in Thai, it's like it's just like in any other, there's four elements, right? The earth, fire, water. When your body breaks down, everything starts shutting off before you come to that final breath in death,
Yeah.
before all the things shut down, right? So I just kind of relive that, which is, to me, I really go to the core that I have to face that moment one day too.
Mm.
So I have to be brave and not afraid of death.
Mm.
So when I breathe, this is the essence of life. So it's not about going om shanty shanty. It's about um, gratitude. You can say everything and everything from this guru, from that teacher or whatever, but without this simple exchange of oxygen, carbon dioxide in our body, and if you're not mindful about these four elements, that eventually everything breaks down and goes away. You no longer can breathe. Inhalation, exhalation. So to me, that's what I found the most beneficial, is coming to senses. That the fourth one is awareness of your breath.
Yeah.
It's up to you. How do you want to choose that? More like a guest, the door, the grief, the darkness, the devil, whatever it is that take your loved one away, or so it's your choice. If you're aware, are you going to welcome this guest? Or
Mm.
you're going to chase away, as far as awareness of, be mindful of your emotion. Are you sad? Are you mad? Are you angry?
Yeah.
Then if you know that moment, you can't go back in the past, because what's done is done.
Yeah.
Go in the present, is the breathing, the
Mm.
breath. And if you move forward into the future, that's why when we talked earlier, all that just come into surface once I realized I still have a life to live.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is in the future, whether you believe in reincarnation, you're going to be with God, or wherever you go. It's this lifeline between the first breath that you take once you comes out of your mother's womb
Yeah.
and the final. So if you hook yourself up to any machine, that's why there's graph up and down. You know, we all have our up and down, our up and down. That's what living and life is all about.
Mm.
So it's up to you whether you want to rely on pharmacy, drugs, alcohol, you know, because if you cannot cope, you know, you're going to rely on bandages, which is not a true help to get out of your situation.
Yeah.
So to your question in short is really being mindful meditation, and you can practice it from, you know, walking meditation, sitting meditation, even when you're lying down, because I learned from the Buddhist monks.
Yeah.
And you can go so deep, and there's so many um, gateways, because if not, you can really put yourself in a um, hallucination world.
Mm.
Um, if you're not, if your mind are not grounded and strong enough, that if you hear something, sense something, that could be your mind playing a trick on you, especially if you're deep scar from your emotion, from the trauma.
Yeah. Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. I mean, to be present in the moment, to be grateful for your own breath in the moment, that is very, very grounding. And as you were talking, you made me think of like so many different things. I was reminded of, you know, in the Muslim tradition, when we hear that somebody passes away, the traditional response that we are taught is to say, to God we belong, and to God is our return. And and I think there's a similar language or teaching in the Christian tradition also, like from dust to dust or something along those lines. And it was just making me think about also like from a mental, emotional preparation perspective, because, when you feel um, distress and that sense of trauma at losing someone, um, those feelings are a reflection of how we are thinking and
Mhm.
what we believe about death, you see. And so I think what the at least, like, for example, these spiritual traditions, what they're trying to teach us is to begin to sort of shift our perspective a little bit, and to remember, as you were saying, that, you know, the end is coming for all of us in terms of life in this world. And so if you can sort of begin to shift your perspective and to realize that, and then maybe that's it becomes part of the preparation, as it were, for that moment, whether it is that you're facing it for yourself, or when it comes for somebody that you love, that you realize, okay, okay. It's like we keep not wanting to face the fact that we all have to
Right,
face
right.
this end, but it's actually a huge aspect of our reality, of our lives. And so perhaps part of our preparation is that we just remember this, and we remind ourselves of this, because also one thing that you kept mentioning, Ponsi, that, really touching for me is, that if you remember this, then you can take action to say what you need to say, to express the love that you need to express, and, do what you would love to do, like you were saying, that you are now going to make the time to travel and do the traveling that you want, because you're not willing to put it off any longer, you know.
Right.
Um,
Fascination. Like, no, I'm not going to leave dirty dishes in the sink, because then somebody have to clean up after me. That's really a motivating plus side,
yeah,
But do I have to like be perfect at everything? No, but it makes you relook at life really different. And if you have your priority in life,
mhm,
your life direction, wherever you want to go, then you kind of like put a fire
yeah,
on the priority even more, instead of, oh, it could be next day, it could be next week, because you always can choose. How do I put it? People always procrastinate, right? I have excuses for everything, but if that's what you really, really, really want,
yeah,
you will manifest. It will happen,
yeah,
whether it's money or time off or anything at all.
yeah,
All is between like my husband and I. We just like, okay, we still have time. Tomorrow is no promising with Buddhist way, as well as like when you chant, it's always you're supposed to think about death actually every moment, and that's why I really dislike going to Buddhist uh, service, because that's what the monk, the Buddha, always constantly remind you of. Because deadline's always out there, but you don't want to know it. You always in denial. So every time we chant or something, it's also every breath that you take, you always think of death. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm learning law of attraction. Why do I want to attract death? Now, now I know. It's reality. You know,
yeah.
and
And you just made me think about from like a Buddhist perspective, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I've only studied a little bit of Buddhist philosophy and so forth. Um, but one of the core teachings of Buddhism is about how to end our suffering in this life, because it's like life. In some ways, life is suffering. If you're alive, if you're living in this world, you will suffer. But the Buddha
right,
went on the quest to figure out how to end the suffering, uh, you know, and one of the lessons that I learned in studying Buddhist philosophy about what the Buddha taught about how to end our own suffering is to sort of let go of our attachment to things that we cannot control. And so one of the most significant things we cannot control is when we will die or if we will die. We will die, and we don't know when we will die. And that's not something that we can control. So the more we try to control it, that wanting to control, that attempting to control actually becomes a cause for suffering in life. And so by letting go of our attachment and our need to control our end of life, or to deny it, or to try and run away from it, if we just let that go, then we can actually eliminate at least that cause of suffering.
you are right on. Yeah, that's basically the core Dharma teaching.
Mm,
End of suffering, or Nirvana, Nibbana.
mm,
So basically, you don't want to have to come back. You can, let's say, if you believe in reincarnation, you can go to become, I don't know, angel, deva, and all that. But all of that is also impermanent.
mm,
Eventually, if you have the privilege to become another human, because after our physical body is gone, you become just a form of energy, frequency, whatever. If you, let's say, come back as another baby, you have to have a soul um, to be suffering again. So the Buddha saw that for thousands and thousands and 10,000 and millions of years. So that's why he said being human is suffering, but we are here to learn the
Mm,
lessons.
yeah. Yeah.
Why I came up with, do good for good.
Mm,
Don't just do good for you, or for you. I do good because it's a good thing. Do good for good.
yeah.
And not to worry if there's a next life, is there's a next galaxy. We all know now, with all the telescopes and satellite, there's many other possibility of other lives beside human exist somewhere. So who is there to say after we transform into this invisible light of energy, we're not going to be floating out to another galaxy or universe? You know what I mean? So it's pointless to argue all of that,
Mm.
but just do good while we're here.
Yeah, yeah. So to stay present in the moment, I think that is another really big, huge emphasis in Buddhist teachings, is it not? That, like you were saying, to focus on your breath, to be grateful for the breath that you have right now. And so then that way you can let go of your worries of the future, of what might be coming or what is coming, and just
Right.
be present in the moment. Yeah.
So Dharma, the Buddha's teaching, is basically the law of nature. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Life would exist without oxygen or
Yeah.
chemical exchange, just breathing. That's it.
Mm.
But people capitalize on this, breathe this way, do it that way. I'm like, to me, whatever works,
Yeah.
whatever works.
Yeah.
But getting back to, supports is out there. The more you prepare, just like doing homeworks in
Yeah.
any subjects, this EOL subject, the more you prepare, the more you're going to be straight A student. If you're not prepared like me, I flunk all the way. So I just like, okay, I'm not really smart at this topic, but guess what? I can repeat this subject, this class, and get better at it.
Yeah, and I will say, Ponsi, that you have not flunked. I mean, yes, it was very shocking for you, and it was a very, very difficult time. But the fact that you're here, you're talking with us about this, this is proof that you had enough strength, you had enough know-how, you had enough capacity to deal with even that trauma and to, you did what you could do, and it has brought you to this point, and you're going to continue to do better. I trust that, and you're going to continue to heal and learn and grow from that. So you have not flunked. I don't think so.
Oh, you didn't see me the first month.
No, no, no.
uh, but all in all, it's really, it's, I don't even know what to say. It's like I become an example for other people, my clients. They all learn from Russ and I now.
Mhm.
This, we it just couldn't happen. No way that Ponzi's in the wellness world. No way that her husband's gone. She's a wellness coach. She's a wellness engineer. Her husband is Dr. Russ, So sometimes we're just like, wow, if if it can happen to them, it can happen to us.
Yeah.
So we're indirectly transforming many lives so
Yeah.
far.
Indeed. Indeed. And that's something
Yeah.
really appreciating about you, Bansi, because as hard as it has been for you, you are still finding that in your heart, that compassion and that will to help other people, even now. Thank you so much for that. I so
And
appreciate
yeah, I appreciate you because for me to talk about my own experience. It's really is a true healing journey. And I hope you and your audience can, can not just having sympathy, empathy, kindness and all, but take what you can, even one thing, to improve your life, your current life, even just knowing how to breathe better.
Yeah.
And all these resources that I have, none of it's going to be helpful if you're not grounded, if you're not stable. Um, because if we were going to talk about, well, how do you prepare the will and all that, you can get online, you can go anywhere, and the best resource is actually the funeral home. I would never even thought about that. But after I approached them, the way they approach me, I'm like, wow. And everything is basically all free. It's like right here. How to select certain things, like how do you want to be buried? How do you want to be remembered? Uh, the, the statistics, I mean, I'm like, wow, I don't even need a lawyer. And yeah, counseling and all that too. If you just have your neighbor, your best friend that can understand, you just need to not grieve alone.
Yeah.
Talk about groups always out there. You don't have to go through this alone.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you want to be alone for some time, and that's okay. But eventually, the path to healing is to go back out into the world, to reconnect with other people, because we are, by nature, we are social creatures. We are not meant to live alone for extended periods of time, or to suffer all by ourselves for extended periods of time. So if you need to be by yourself for a few days, a few weeks, take that time, but also just try to keep in mind that um, eventually you will want to begin to take steps and reach out to other people and reconnect with other people and get help and support. And one thing that um my gosh, I was talking about this with one of my um cousins, who uh, recently lost her husband. So my brother-in-law, basically, who passed away. And in his case also, it was a very sudden passing. It was unexpected. He was in his 40s, so like a young person. But in any case, one of the things that my cousin was sharing is that, not everyone is willing or able to talk to you about everything, in terms of like you have like so many different needs in this kind of a situation. You need so many different kinds of help. Like some in some cases, you may need legal help, legal advice, because complications might arise in that direction. And let's say you have a family member and they love you and they care about you, but they're not a legal scholar. They're not a lawyer. So they may not be able to talk to you about that and help you in that context, but they can support you in other ways. There might be other kinds of help that you need that, your lawyer cannot provide you.
Right, right.
So there's like going to be different people who can be there for you in different ways. And so just kind of try to stay open to receiving love from different people in different ways.
You're right on. And was I wasn't there for that, since I'm always giving, helping other. So my cousin came that same day, she about to smack me if she could. She said, "You've been giving all your life.
Mm.
It's your turn to receive."
Mm.
Because I was pushing her. You don't have to spend the night here. You don't have to help me. I will manage to live in this house, and the way it is. And she know I would need somebody, especially the first day or two. So she grabbed my cell phone. She programs everything. She go, "When's your trash? Go out. What day? What time? When do you feed your dogs? When do you feed your George? We got a tortoise, the fish." And I didn't even think of that, because when you're so fragile, you don't even know time of day of the week, because you have to deal with legal crap, like,
Ah, yeah.
so she offer help because she had done this before to her other friends and clients, but I was turning her away.
Yeah.
So you were right, accept help when you need it. And even like the funeral expense, when they just gave me the money, I feel like I am not a charity case. Russ is not a charity case. We are very private people. We don't ask for help.
Mm.
Reality set in when she said, "You've been helping many others. It's time to receive."
Yeah.
And that was greatest lessons in this part of life,
Yeah.
because I do need help financially, emotionally. It's just a simple thing as programming the cell phone to feed the animals,
Yeah.
take the trash
Yeah.
out. Not
Yeah.
just paper stuff and legal stuff and lawyer stuff. So you were right.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
and support each, because people don't know what to say to you if they
Yes.
never face, even if they face it,
Yes.
they don't know
That's
what to say.
that's so true.
Situation different.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
as long as you don't, like you said, if as long as you don't stay alone for so long, or if you really know you do need help,
Mm.
then you seek professional help.
Mm.
This one other incident too is over like a year or two. She never left the couch.
Mm.
Never even gone out to eat and buy grocery. Her family basically bring groceries to her
Mm.
because her husband on that sofa
Yeah.
unexpected. So
Yeah.
she attached to that, and she doesn't know how to grieve. And
Yeah.
finally, they have professional help.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after a year or two, she finally came out of the house, and starting with, moving the furniture, painting. No, I don't think they went as far. The counselor basically, the therapist said, "What's one thing you would like to do?" She said, "I would like to sleep in my own bed." But it was like she didn't know how to grieve. She didn't know how to come out of that, bubble, sadness.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
sometimes to a certain point, I may still need help because I don't know when it's going to hit me.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yes.
somebody, if you know you are suicidal or something, please reach out.
Mm. Yeah.
Reach.
Yeah. Sometimes reaching out for help is the most courageous thing you can do. I know from my experience as a survivor of abuse, uh, I, I swear to this day, I believe that the hardest thing I have done so far in my life is to ask for help. That first time that I asked for help, I mean, oh my gosh.
It's a
I mean,
big step.
it's a huge step. It's a huge step.
I felt so ashamed. I'm like, why is people sending me money? I'm not a charity case. We're not a charity. And my son actually said, "Yes, you are. You like poor. You're destitute. You have no money. You don't even know how to bury Papa. There's no money." So yeah. So I said if that's it takes bravery, beyond bravery, to ask for help
Yes. Yes.
and
Ah,
accept.
yes. To accept it. Ah, indeed. Yes. To ask for help takes humongous courage. And then to accept the help in different forms that it comes, that also takes lots and lots of courage. Yes. Ah, indeed.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
hope the topic is not too heavy, but it is
Mhm.
facts of life.
Yeah. 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 So, my God. Um, we could keep talking about this, and I think maybe for today we will wrap up. We have been talking for quite a bit of time.
I
Um,
don't have to talk. I'm enjoying your company, and
yes,
hopefully
me too.
I'm
Me too.
helpful to someone. I'm
Yes.
getting to know you. You get to know me, and I know my purpose is bigger than life now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm so excited to be going on this kind of medical retreat, and then we'll see what tomorrow will bring.
Yes. One day at a
Because
time. Yeah.
yes, I know this is part of my quest, and to meet me just before all this happened and to reconnect again. I'm so honored to be on your show.
Thank you, Ponsi. Thank you so much. And maybe we'll bring you back so we can keep talking. And because I really do feel that this is a really important issue for us to address and think about and talk to each other with. And you're so right. So many of us don't want to face it. We don't want to deal with it, but it's so important to do. So we'll see. Maybe we'll keep talking about it in a future episode. For now, I will just remind our listeners to please check the show notes as I will add Bonsi's links in there. So if you think she may be able to help you or support you in any way, please get in touch with her. And I'm here, of course, too. Um, yeah, and until we connect next time, I just wish you lots and lots of peace and joy.